Hi everybody, Paul Haywood here. So in the last video I showed you how to get your reeds lasting much longer and keep them in a playable condition for a lot longer. Now in this video I want to show you a simple little tweak that you can do to your reeds if they need it, which should help you get loads more usable reeds out of a box. It's something that I used to struggle with, getting only 2 to 4 reeds out of a box that I enjoyed playing on and that really felt free. From doing this little thing, I've easily doubled that, and I'm much happier. So I actually started doing this new thing almost as a necessity really, because since starting to keep my reeds wet all the time, if you want to know about that, go and check out my previous video, I'll link in the description. I discovered what the problem was with why I was only getting a few good reeds out of a box. So you get your new box of reeds, dump it in your box, let it soak, let them get nice and wet and humid. You take the reed, put it on your mouthpiece, give it a play. If it plays great, brilliant, there you go, you're sorted. If it doesn't, you might have seen videos on reed doctoring and reed resurfacing and stuff where you'll be doing bits and pieces to the face of the reed. Now, for me, I've tried this, and yeah, I would sometimes make it a little bit better in one way or not. But the main problem, which was the free blowing, the feel of it free blowing, getting good strong tone and nice edge on it, I found that very difficult to actually make better by scraping the face of the reed at all. But from it being nice and wet, from keeping them wet, I discovered what the main problem was. And the main problem is the fact that let's call it the table or the bed of the reed here, not the bit that's in contact with your lip, but the bit that's in contact with the mouthpiece. I was finding that is quite rough. You know, it's just not sitting flat on the mouthpiece, on the table of the mouthpiece. So you're getting tiny microscopic gaps and differences in pressure of the reed where it's in contact with the mouthpiece. And that's what the problem was. So what I do now, if I've got a reed that's not particularly free blowing, and to be honest, one of the easiest ways for me to feel if it's not free blowing is it doesn't have the nice edge that I like to my personal tone. It doesn't have the edge, and also the low notes are quite hard to blow. If I find that the low notes are easy to blow but I can't get altissimo register, or the high notes don't come out easy, then it's just generally a sign that the reed's a little bit soft. But what I want is the low notes to come out strong, nice edge to the tone, and the reed be strong enough that I can get good sound up in the higher register. So what I do now is I've just got like a craft knife. This is a very hard steel blade. It's very sharp. It's not far off being the sharpness of a razor blade. And there are things you can get, I think it's called a Reed Geek, something like that. There's several tools you can get, but to be honest, yeah, maybe for resurfacing the bit that's in contact with your lip, because that's actually quite a complicated face, it might be worth getting something slightly more specialist tool for. But just for the bottom of it, a knife with a nice flat edge there. And what we're going to do is just scrape away very gently. Going to take hardly anything off at all. I'm putting very light pressure on here, practically none, but just enough to scrape. And also the angle of the blade, if you angle it so it's cutting that way, then you're just going to cut into the reed and ruin it. Alright, so I'm going here and I'm just adjusting it so it's probably at about 45 degrees, trying to keep a nice even pressure and just scraping. And then if you look at the blade, you'll probably find that parts of the blade have got picked up some fibres off the reed and some hasn't. So if you're putting even pressure on and you're getting uneven deposits of fibres on there, then you're going to be picking up, sorry, one of my lights just went out, you're going to be picking up fibres from some parts of it and basically re-flattening that, making that nice and flat. Now the reed might have been completely flat when it was dry, but when it's soaked the fibres swell up, and it kind of basically makes any fibres that when it's soaked because you're playing it for any length of time, it's going to make those rise up, and then you can smooth them off, get it nice and flat. Now, reed resurfacing and reed doctoring is a complicated and in-depth process if you want to get right into it. There's whole books on it, or booklets at least, and I'm sure people will have differing opinions on this. I'm just sharing with you what works for me, what has made my life so much easier with reeds, saxophone reeds. I'm sure it will work with clarinet reeds as well if you're experiencing the similar kind of difficulties. This is well worth giving a try. Just a few scrapes like that, and you'll get just a few fibres off. Put it back on the mouth, be gentle. If you go overboard here, you'll just make the reed too soft and unplayable. So little, and give it a try. Just a little bit, give it a try. So I just do a few scrapes at a time, put it back on the mouthpiece, give it a play and see how it feels. And this, like I say, this doubles the amount of playable reeds I can get out of a box, and I'm not even touching the face of it, because that is very carefully machined anyway. You might change the tonal characteristics of it a bit, but if you've got a reed that's just won't want to play, then that's what I found majority of the time. It's going to just fix it nice and easy without having to go too in depth with nitty gritty of all the different parts that you can doctor on the face of the reed. So I'd love to hear how you guys get on with your reeds. Do you get many reeds out of a box? Do you have to doctor them in any way? Do you find that you're putting reeds on and they're just horrible and you're only getting a few out of a box? Have you tried doing this before? If you do try it, which I think you should, remember to soak them first and then do this. Then let me know how you get on. I'd love to know if this helps you as much as it helped me. It's completely changed. This, along with keeping my reeds wet, has completely changed my experience of saxophone reeds, which was a complete pain before. As I said, I did get pushed over to playing synthetic reeds because I just couldn't cope with the inconsistency of the reeds I was getting. And I was paying for good reeds, you know, like high quality reeds, trying different strengths, different brands, different everything basically. And I just couldn't find anything that was consistent. I could find plenty of reeds that would have a few good ones in and really enjoy playing with them. I wasn't being fussy like that, but just consistency, it was driving me mad. So I went to synthetic, wonderfully consistent, but had its own problems, which we'll cover in another video. But give this a try, let me know how you get on. Don't forget to drop me a like if you enjoyed the content and you found it useful. It really means a huge amount to me, and it does help YouTube know that you're enjoying it, so it will share the content with more saxophone players looking for advice. Subscribe if you want to catch more videos, that would be wonderful, really mean a lot to me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.